Today, answers matter more than ever before. That's why IBM is helping businesses manage customer questions with Watson Assistant. It's conversational AI designed to work for any industry. Let's put smart to work. Visit IBM.com/Watson Assistant.
Empire.
Welcome to Inside the Cap. I am your host, Joel Corey. You can find me on Twitter at Corey Joel. That is CORRYJOEL. And also, you can read my regular column at CBSSports.com in Agent's Take. This week, we are going to be looking at what I call some flawed NFL contracts that were signed this year. In the NFL, the devil is in the details because the contracts aren't fully guaranteed like in Major League Baseball and the National Basketball Association. That makes structure critical because if you don't have a good structure and you don't have fully guaranteed contracts, then the contracts are kind of meaningless and they're not really worth the paper that they are printed on. So what you want to avoid is a backloaded contract, meaning that more of the compensation is in the latter years as opposed to the earlier years. And once the guarantees run out in an NFL contract, you basically have a series of team options where you're at the mercy of the team. So taking a look at some contracts and found some things that I would have done differently or contracts I would not have done at all. At the top of this list is the contract that Travis Kelce did. Kelce signed a 4-year, $57.25 million extension, averaging $14,312,500 per year. This was in August, and it was a few hours after George Kittle drastically changed the stagnant tight end market with a 5-year, $75 million extension, averaging $15 million per year. With $40 million overall guarantees and $30 fully guaranteed at signing. All of those were records for a tight end contract. Now, the Kittle and Kelce contracts couldn't be more different. I do not understand why this Kelce deal was done. It is one of the most team-friendly contracts I've seen for a lucrative contract. Kelce had 2 years remaining in his contract for $18.25 million when it was done. This was the deal that he signed in 2016. It was going to expire after the 2021 season. The way Kelce is playing, no danger of being released before the contract expired. Now, this deal has a pay-as-you-go contract structure. Now, what that means is the players' cash and salary cap numbers are the same in each year, because there isn't a signing bonus. And signing bonuses can be prorated over the life of a contract. And signing bonuses are critical in NFL contracts because they are one way to deter a team from releasing you, because if they have a big signing bonus, you have to deal with the acceleration of the bonus proration, which becomes a cap charge in the current year, depending upon the timing of your release. If you got a huge deal which is close to setting the market, you expect someone to get a raise in the current year. Kelce didn't. He's getting the same $9.25 million that he was supposed to make in the old contract. He's only getting $4.25 million of new money over the remaining 2 years of his previous contract, the 2016 extension. First 2 years are fully guaranteed, so he wasn't getting cut, so that guarantee to me is meaningless. Only $2 million of a $6.5 million 2022 base salary has a guarantee. It's guaranteed for injury, becomes fully guaranteed on March of 2022, the third day of the league year. Now, the entire $6.5 million really should have been guaranteed on the third day of the 2021 league year. So basically, Chiefs can get rid of Kelce anytime they want. No signing bonus, 2022. Base salary doesn't become fully guaranteed until March 2022. So if Kelce has a bad 2021, he's gone. No dead money. No adverse cap consequences. Last type of contract you want from a player standpoint. Now, through the first new year, 2022, he's got $11.75 million of new money. Now, if he plays it out, they have to franchise him. that number was going to be $11.65 million. And I'm assuming that he's got this base salary escalator in his contract, and I'm assuming he's going to earn the base salary escalator of $750 like he has past 2 years, which would add to his 2021 salary, which would in turn would increase his 2022 franchise number. So he has $25 million of new money first 2 new years. That's through 2023. That's $630,000 less than if he'd been franchised twice. I don't know why you're giving up 4 new years. You don't get any new money this year. You barely have any new money through the first 2 years, existing years of your contract. You're not getting enough of a premium or enough security to do what he did. Classic example of having 4 team options. That's what the Chiefs have starting in 2022. I am not giving a team 4 new options to really get nothing up front, but that's his prerogative. Now, this deal is about as backloaded as you get. The new money after each of the first 3 years, $11.75 million, $25 million, and $40 million. One of the things I look at is percentage of money after each new contract year, or in the case of a deal which is an extension after each contract year instead of new contract years. Now, there's something what I call a neutral deal. In a 4-year deal, 4-year extension, or 4-year deal, you should, at a minimum, be at 25% after the first year or first new contract year, 50% year 2, 75% year 3. Kelce ain't anywhere close to that. He's at 20.5%, 43.7%, and 69.8% after the first, second, and third new contract years. Neutral deal, not ideal, but under a neutral deal, then first year should have been at $14,312,500. Second year should have been $28,625. Third year should have been approaching $43 million. And that's just to be neutral, not even a deal which would be player friendly or structured in a way it probably should have been, given he's in the discussion for the best tight end in the NFL. So really, the cash should have been like 21.25, 32.5, and 44.125 million after the first 3 new contract years. If you look at some of the other lucrative 4-year extensions for veteran players that were signed with 2 years remaining on a contract. So he's almost $10 million short of where he should have been through the first new contract year. It's about $7.5 million short where he should have been through the second new contract year. And he's a little over $4 million short of where he should have been through the third new contract year. I would not have wanted to sign this contract. If I had a client that really wanted to do a deal, was that anxious to do a deal, I would have been explaining to him left and right why this structure makes absolutely no sense for him. You got to remember that an agent works for the player, not the other way around. But I would not want my name attached to this deal or associated with this deal because, quite frankly, it never should have been done.
I'm Tali Farhadian Weinstein. I'm a candidate for Manhattan District Attorney, and I'm the host of a new podcast called Hearing. It's devoted to in-depth conversations about building a better criminal justice system. You'll hear interviews with people like Senator Cory Booker, New Yorker writer Jayang Fan, and civil rights leader Ben Jealous. It's a new kind of political podcast where you'll hear a candidate, me, using her prosecutorial instincts to ask the right questions and share the answers. We're calling the show Hearing because I believe that real leaders listen. It's the only way we'll carve a path to a fair and fearless future. You will find Hearing wherever you get your podcasts. Brought to you by Pushkin Industries and paid for by New Yorkers for Tali.
Okay, let's turn our attention to another one of these contracts that I think is flawed. And this one may surprise some people. Amari Cooper, unrestricted free agent this year, re-upped with the Dallas Cowboys. 5-year, $100 million contract, averaging $20 million per year. The deal made him, at the time, second highest paid wide receiver. What's wrong with that? Well, you got to put that deal into context. Cooper, as an unrestricted free agent, had another suitor within the division, the Washington Redskins, that really wanted to sign him. And my understanding is the Redskins were going to make him the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history at that time. The standard was Julio Jones at $22 million per year. Problem is, this deal is structured very poorly. Dallas already has a precedent set with DeMarcus Lawrence last year as a franchise player. So, at a minimum, Amari Cooper's structure should have matched DeMarcus Lawrence's. And since DeMarcus Lawrence signed as a franchise player and Cooper signed as an unrestricted free agent, he should have had a team coming after him. He should have had the leverage to get a much better structure than DeMarcus Lawrence. Now, his $100 million over 5 years neutral deal. Cash goes 20, 40, 60 million, 80 million, 100 million. Not how it's supposed to be, given all the dynamics with this deal. He's got a $10 million signing bonus. First 2 years are fully guaranteed at signing. Third year, 2022, guaranteed for injury at signing. Doesn't become fully guaranteed until 2022. Well, it's not what happened with DeMarcus Lawrence, who was franchised. DeMarcus Lawrence, $25 million signing bonus. Bigger signing bonus on a deal which was $105 million over 5 years. Comparable deal. DeMarcus Lawrence's third year becomes fully guaranteed in the second year. So that's 2021 for DeMarcus Lawrence. That became fully guaranteed this past March. They actually did the same thing in 2015 with Dez Bryant. Third year became fully guaranteed in the second year. Cash flow for DeMarcus Lawrence and Dez Bryant, much better than Amari Cooper. If you know what a team's done, you can hold their feet to the fire and at least get what they've done. You can use that against them. So I don't know how this happened. DeMarcus Lawrence Amari Cooper gets an inferior structure to DeMarcus Lawrence in a Dez Bryant deal. And Bryant, a receiver. Same position as Amari Cooper. Their last number one. So really, if you look at what the cash flow percentages are of Bryant's deals and Lawrence's deal, those two deals, they're at basically 31%, 46%, 63% after the first 3 years. So Cooper should have been able to be in that same vicinity a little more. So at a minimum, he should have been at 31 million, 46 million, 63 million after the first 3 contract years. Now, Cooper is done. He's made himself real vulnerable with this structure. That Cowboys, if they decide to cut him after 2021, they think CeeDee Lamb's the number one receiver. He doesn't have a great 2021. Then in 2022, when that comes up, they'll have $6 million in dead money. And that's it, and can walk away. If he'd structured it like DeMarcus Lawrence, wouldn't be the case, because his third year would have become fully guaranteed in 2021, and the earliest realistic exit point would have been 2023 as opposed to 2022. DeMarcus Lawrence is not having a great year this year, but because that third year is already fully guaranteed, they'll have a $32 million cap charge for releasing DeMarcus Lawrence next offseason unless the post-G1 designation is used. Then they can split the cap hit into 2 years. So that's how Cooper's deal should have looked, but it doesn't. And that's why Cooper's deal makes this list.
Is there anything more craveable than the smell of McDonald's fries? If someone's hiding an order of fries, they're never hiding it well. It takes one whiff to trigger a fry craving that will only be satisfied the McDonald's way. So stand up if you would like to taste the smell of a McDonald's fry right now. Did you just stand? Because if you did, then you earned yourself a trip to the McDonald's drive-thru for your own steamy carton of crispy, golden goodness. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Another contract that got my attention was Tredavious White's extension. White signed a deal about a week before the regular season started, 4-year extension worth $69 million, $69 million extension. Maxes out at $70 million because of incentives, which made him the highest paid cornerback in the league at $17.25 million per year. Deal has $55 million in guarantees, $37 million fully guaranteed at signing. Ordinarily, that'd be great that he becomes the highest paid cornerback. Only problem is Even Stevie Wonder could have seen that Tredavious White was leaving money on the table by doing the deal when he did. And that's because everybody in the industry knew that there was a strong probability that Jalen Ramsey was going to get a new deal from the Rams. And Jalen Ramsey, last year when he was still a Jaguar, still playing for the Jacksonville Jaguars, stole a line from Deion Sanders. Instead, they're going to have to back up a Brinks truck to pay him. So this was going to be a deal which reset a cornerback market that honestly hadn't moved a whole lot since Patrick Peterson and Richard Sherman signed at $14 million per year in 2014. It didn't start moving until this year in free agency when Byron Jones got the ball rolling, for deal averaging $16.5 million a year to become a Miami Dolphin. So if you know that deal is coming, what do? You wait. You let Jalen Ramsey move the needle. You draft under him. That's your way to maximize your compensation. Now, I've heard that from sources that Tredavious White was impatient and was anxious to get a deal done. Yeah, okay, that's fine. You're supposed to execute your client's wishes. But I had anxious, impatient clients when I was an agent. And normally, I could explain to them the situation and tell them, you know what? I know you want to get the deal done. Give me a week. We'll get it closed Saturday. You're not going to play a regular season game on your rookie contract. But give me time, because it's going to be well worth your while. And the client, I would say almost every time, would let me do my thing. I don't know what the dynamics were in this particular instance, but just from my experience, you probably could get your client to wait if you're inclined to do so. And also, Ramsey was letting his agent do his own thing. So, when that's the case, the agent's going to be driving the hardest bargain because he doesn't have a whole lot of pressure from his client to get something done. Now, what happens? Ramsey becomes the first $20 million per year defensive back 2 days before the regular season starts. So you got time if you wait to get a deal done. The Khalil Mack trade 2 years ago, sign and trade, that deal got done in like a 24-hour period. When teams and a player agent are sufficiently motivated, things can come together very quickly. So there would have been enough time if White waits to benefit from the Ramsey deal. It's a 5-year, $100 million extension, up to $105 million because of salary escalators. A cornerback record, almost $44 million fully guaranteed at signing. $71.203 million, $71.0203 million in total guarantees. Another cornerback record. White may have actually hurt Ramsey because you got White, who was a first-team All-Pro last year, coming in at 17.25. Ramsey's trying to fundamentally change the market. That may have stopped him from getting the $21 million per year. I don't know it, but when you get a deal which comes in below expectations or comes in which you don't think is going to help you, the other side's going to use it against you. We can quantify how much money White left on the table for one reason. 3 weeks into the regular season, a guy in White's draft class, Marlon Humphrey, 2017 first-round pick as well, signs an extension with the Baltimore Ravens. 5 years, $97.5 million extension, worth up to $98.75 million through incentives. Basically $67 million in guarantees, 40 fully guaranteed signing. So the base value of the deal, $19.5 million per year. Marlon Humphrey got the deal White was supposed to get if he waits for Jalen Ramsey to get done. That's why White's deal is on this list.
Support for this podcast comes from CDW and Dell Technologies. At CDW, we get that migrating your business to a hyper-converged infrastructure is challenging.
Like me switching to decaf. Gotta do it, don't want to do it, but gotta do it.
Whoa, slow down, friend. CDW's experts can help you simplify the transition from legacy to hyper-converged infrastructure with Dell Technologies solutions that offer speed and agility.
Do it, do it. Have you done it? Is it done yet? Why isn't it done yet?
IT orchestration by CDW. People who get it. Find out more at cdw.com/DellTech.
There's one other deal I want to talk about. That is Yannick Ngakoue. Ngakoue, franchise player this year. Jacksonville franchised him for $17.788 million. He wasn't going to sign that tender. Wasn't going to play for Jacksonville again. Had been pushing for a trade ever since he got the franchise tag. Wants out of Jacksonville so badly, he takes a huge pay cut to go to Minnesota. To facilitate the pay cut, to facilitate the trade, takes over a 30% pay cut. His tender was $17.788 million. Signed for $12 million. That's not new. Last year we had Tredavious White take a pay cut. Didn't take that big of a pay cut. His was slightly under $975,000 of a pay cut when he went from the Houston Texans to the Seattle Seahawks in a franchise player trade right before the regular season started in 2019. One big difference, besides the pay cut amount. Clowney got a clause where it prevented the Seahawks from putting a franchise tag on him. Ngakoue didn't get a clause. Took a huge pay cut. Instead of a $5.788 million pay cut, and didn't get that clause, so he could be franchised again. Well, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, because everything's going to work out not having that clause for Ngakoue for one reason. The Vikings got off such a poor start, they dealt him this week to the Ravens. There's no chance, well actually I shouldn't say no, there's a small chance that he'll get franchised next year. Ronnie Stanley is going to get franchised by the Ravens next year if he can't sign a long-term deal. So that means Ngakoue is off the hook for not getting a clause he should have gotten with the trade to the Vikings. So he'll hit the open market, and everything's probably going to work out fine for Ngakoue, because I know the cap's going to be $175 million next year at a minimum. It's going to drop because of the coronavirus pandemic, but he's got 5 sacks in 6 games. He's playing well. He's on pace for a career high 13 sacks. So he'll hit the open market because Matthew Judon was franchised this year by the Ravens, the other edge rusher. He might get the tag over Ngakoue if for some reason Ronnie Stanley gets done before the designation period closes next March, when teams have to decide to put a franchise or transition tag on someone. So Ngakoue could be the third option for the franchise tag, so he's pretty much assured of free agency, unless he just goes gangbusters and sets like a franchise record for sacks. Then he may move up above Matthew Judon. But I don't think he ever gets a franchise tag over Ronnie Stanley if they both have expiring contracts and could hit the open market. But still, you can't really expect the circumstances which happened to Ngakoue to cut in your favor, because he really was putting himself in a position where he was going to cost himself money because of the decision he made. It's going to work out in the end for him. The one thing he did do potentially is set a bad precedent for other players who really want out after getting franchised. The team is going to point to the Vikings and go, hey, yeah, we'll let you out. We'll trade you. But it's going to have to be a new team will go, yeah, we'll take you on. But, hey, there's going to have to be a huge pay cut to do it. And don't even think about a clause like Clowney where we can't control your rights through a franchise or transition tag the next year. And particularly if you're going to have someone getting franchised next year because the cap drops. We don't know what it's going to be in 2022, how much it's going to rebound. So, yeah, Ngakoue is working out for him, but opens the door for a new precedent to be set. You never want to be the one who sets a new precedent that can be used against players. So we'll see how that goes down the road. But still, not the best decision, but it's going to work out for him. All right, that is this week's episode of Inside the Cap. You can find me on Twitter at Corey Joel. That is CorryJoel. And also my regular column at CBSSports.com called An Agent's Take. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you back here next week. Goodbye.